Welcome everyone to the Friends That Carry On podcast, where we dive deeper into our trips, unpack tips, and everything in between. Now sit back, relax, and get ready to go on a trip with your favourite group of friends.
Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Friends That Carry On podcast. We're a group of friends who love to travel the world together, and we're here to share our stories. So, in the studio today, we have Mr. Eric Fargo, Jim Scott, and Brian Romine.
Hey, everybody.
And I am Tony Price, and welcome. So, again, we want to make sure everybody goes and checks out the website, friendsthatcarryon.com, and please subscribe to any place you listen to your podcast, and, of course, any place on social media, Friends That Carry On. And again, when you get to the website, make sure you register. We have a lot of free things that come along and keeps you up to date on opportunities and specials and things like that. And also stay tuned for the new fan page that's coming up, where we're going to have, well, when you kind of join the fan, there's going to be several things, probably a T-shirt, a couple other giveaways. But the big thing is you're going to be entered into at least winning, what do we say, 4 trips?
At least 4, maybe
Four
5
year.
trips annually, yes.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
4 trips?
Some of them we may or may not be on. You know, you don't have to hang out with us, but right?
You may not want to. More than likely, you won't want to.
But it's gonna be pretty cool. And you have a really, really high odds of winning. That's the big thing. And then the more times you either, refer friends, get additional people to register, and download and listen to the podcast, you increase your chances of winning. So, and there'll be cool trips. We're talking like river cruises in Europe.
Nice.
You know, cool stuff. So definitely stay tuned for that.
Maybe someplace in Mexico.
Maybe. We're working on it.
Docana.
Maybe.
Adios, amigos.
Yeah. So there we go. All right. So how you guys doing?
Excelente.
Great today.
Good.
Muy bien.
Good. What, you feeling that, huh?
Yeah, I'm feeling it
All
today,
right.
man.
He's
I'm
working
feeling
on his
Espanol today.
He's working it. I wonder why.
Yeah, well, because we're going to Pamplona.
Ah, yeah.
So Eric got to announce the location.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. It's what's near and dear to most of our hearts. And I mean, we're coming up when this gets released. It will likely be the week prior to
Right.
the Festival of San Fermin, which we've been to multiple times.
Or what would have been this year.
What would have been this year? I think, is this the first time it's been canceled?
As far as I can tell,
right.
yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
since the kind of like the
The
modern day
era.
I mean, it's just, I know we'll talk about it. Of course, there's a lot of disappointed friends.
Oh, man, it's something. They look so forward to this week. It's 2 weeks.
Well, yeah, because as soon as January 1st starts, you have the countdown. It's literally by the days and the month, and kind of sucks. But we're still going to relive some of the good times of it and some of the great things that we love about Pamplona, especially
You remember those?
most of them. We got pictures, and I got you guys to remind you.
Oh,
about
right.
it, so,
Pictures.
right?
Yay.
But we've talked about Pamplona at least 4 times on previous podcasts. I know it was part of our first one, our very first podcast, which was just over a year ago.
Yep.
And of course, that was about our epic trip from 2013. It was kind of thrown in there.
It wasn't solely focused
No,
on
not at
Pamplona.
all. None of them have been, and that's
Right.
why we felt like wow, we've gotten this far, and we haven't actually talked specifically about Pamplona.
Exactly.
And it's funny, we could probably invite 30 different people onto this to have these discussions, and
Nobody would get a word in edgewise over someone
it would have
else.
to be a week-long episode.
Just invite one person at a time.
But we also hit it again on episode 27 when we talked about top places to grab a cocktail around the country, around the world. Sorry, yeah. And we mentioned Bar Chaco,
Right.
which we'll talk about later. We also hit it in episode 31, unique places to stay, when we talked about Hostel Hemingway.
Yep.
Episode 39 when we interviewed John Hemingway, and then episode 42. Which one was that one? You guys remember?
I don't remember that one off the top of my head, but I trust
that
you.
was. I know. I wrote it down. That was the one where we talked about after coronavirus and the travel restrictions lifted. What are some of the places we'd love to go to? And that was where we hit it on that. So
But we never got real specific about
We haven't,
Pamplona, huh?
not at all. And and we've touched on it. We touched on it again with all of those, but nothing really specific.
Well, come on, guys, let's get specific.
Yeah, there are a lot of specifics.
There are.
I mean, it's got to be one of the, as far as bucket list trips, it's running with the bulls has to be on one of the top bucket list trips on anywhere. I mean, maybe some women might not think that, but I mean, that's one you think of, Oktoberfest and that type of stuff. But running with the bulls, it's got its own connotation, sort of its own league.
And it is interesting. You mentioned, maybe not some of the women, and what I was reading was within the country of Spain, there's not many Spaniard women that actually run with the bulls, but the women that you actually do see running now are more foreigners.
Yeah, probably
That's
pretty
correct.
much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess it's just the culture and
It's tradition.
and things of that sort. So I found that
but
interesting.
I mean, they do. I mean, there are women who run now.
Yes, definitely.
for sure. Yeah.
Definitely.
Oh,
For
yeah.
sure. And we've talked about there are tons and tons of runs, not just Pamplona. It's
Throughout
just
the
the most
country.
infamous. Yeah, I mean it's throughout Spain, and we have a lot of friends that we've met in Pamplona who have done. I mean,
These other
many
Yes.
runs. So yeah.
Well, even in Pamplona, it's not just one run. I think.
Oh, you talking about the number of days?
Yeah, just I think
8
many
days.
people think the running with the bulls, and it's just kind of one run and that's it. But I've never been there. But
Yeah, so the San Fermin Festival always starts July 6th, at least in the modern day era. Starts on July 6th. First run is on July 7th, and it runs through the 14th. And then closing ceremonies is midnight of the 14th. The Chupinaza is kind of the opening ceremony leading up to it. And
That's
to this day, you talk about events, and then, again, we have talked about this, but I've been to some of the big ones. Jim mentioned Oktoberfest and being to Mardi Gras in New Orleans. But I will still say to this day that is one of the craziest experiences ever. Just absolutely crazy.
that was nuts.
That's like, and it depends on what time you get there. So again, opening ceremony is on the 6th at noon. But people get into Town Hall Plaza. What time did we get there? 8:30, 9 o'clock?
I came and went twice.
Yeah.
That's right. You had to go get a
I
hat,
had to go
right?
get a hat. We got there like 10-ish, 9:30, 10, and it was easy to walk around. The knowing thing was at noon. But then, though there was a crowd, it wasn't overwhelming.
Right.
And Jeremiah and I went back to get hats because we're both follically challenged, and the Spanish sun in July
Quite
would
hot.
have done some damage. So we went back to get our hats, which was probably a 15-minute walk each way. And we got back. I mean, it was a struggle to get back to the middle. I mean, it had become packed, and we're both good-sized guys, and we had our wives with us, and it was a struggle to get through the crowd. It took to go 30, 40 yards, probably took a half hour, 40 minutes to get that far.
And that was still like at
And
10:30,
this
11
is-
o'clock.
this
right?
is
Pushing
this
through
is probably
people
11
and-
o'clock,
right.
another hour to go before
Yeah.
the actual ceremony.
Let's give the listeners an idea of how many people are packed in. So that square where they open everything up, give me an idea how big you think that square is. Rough idea, just to give them an idea.
I honestly don't know the size of Town Hall. I mean,
It's not a block.
No,
It's a half a block,
no.
maybe a third of a block.
Yeah, it depends on where
Right.
you're talking about. But I mean, it's only the width of Town Hall. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not much wider than that.
You can
No,
look it up
so
online.
At most,
Yeah.
it's 40 or 50 yards wide and maybe 60, 70 yards deep.
Right? How many people would you say they pack in there in
Oh,
the opening?
10, 15,000.
It
Right.
was crazy.
And
Absolutely
it's the biggest mosh pit you've ever
It was.
partaken in
It
your
was.
life.
It was, and it's again, it was just an experience. We talked about. We think it's one of those things you feel like you always should do. Not sure I would do it again.
Yeah.
Other than we were supposed to take our good friend Garrick Yankee, who
Yes.
has been multiple times, but he hasn't been to opening ceremony yet.
Really?
Yeah, and so we were like, okay, we'll go one more time to opening ceremonies to go with Yank, but
Did you do that?
no, we haven't yet.
Oh.
He last year.
We
his
talked about
schedule-
maybe doing this year, and then,
Yeah,
of course, it's
and then,
gotten
of course, it's
canceled
got
because of
canceled.
COVID.
Yeah. And last year he didn't get it.
And
to
he's
travel.
run how many times? This is funny. He's run how many times? Probably a dozen, maybe?
No.
Or more than that. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. He usually runs like we do, like 4 times, I guess, each
4 or
year.
5
And he's
times,
gone
yeah.
every year since 14.
Yeah.
He's had all those runs, and he's never partaken
Yeah.
in the opening ceremony.
Well, it's tough for a lot of us too from the States because the July 4th holiday, and he's got kids too, so it's one of those things that it's kind of hard to get there for the 6th. You obviously have to head out of here by the 4th or the 5th, so it makes it a tight schedule.
And a lot of times, the experienced runners like to come and run the 2nd or 3rd day of the running because they get less. They're not as busy. That first day
it really
is
falls well the first day, but also the weekend.
Yeah, it
Right.
depends when it falls.
Yeah, weekends is usually the craziest, but yeah, it's an awesome experience, and it's it's one of those things that I think our first year we went, because it was a bucket list thing. It was also Jim Reed's 50th birthday kind of wish, and we did that, but it's kind of turned into so much more than that for a lot of us as far as the friends we've made over the years. And I don't know who said this, but it's like you either kind of get it and you kind of get addicted to it, or you're like, okay, yeah, done, and you never think about it again. And
absolutely. Which I'll be honest, leading up to the first trip, that's what I expected. We were going to be there a few days, one run, get in, get out, having said we did it, and move on. But there was sort of an addiction to it. There was just an electricity in the crowd, the whole festival, everything about it. And then our one buddy Jeremiah, he instantly got addicted.
oh my, yeah,
He was instant. That first run, which the adrenaline is incredible, which I'm sure we'll talk about here in a little bit. But he was in. Had after that first run, had told his now wife, "I'm coming to this every year," and he has done that obviously except for this year, and just was all in. So he'd already made some connections, which helped us learn a lot about it with what's called the Pamplona Posse, a group of people mainly from Scotland, Britain, and that type of area. And just really got in with them, which made it easy for us as we've come back to meet these people, even though we met some of them on that initial trip. And by meeting all those people, it makes it easier. It's almost like if you like going back to your college for homecoming, it's sort of like that, because you're going to go, you got some good friends there, people you have a good time with, and it's a big party. So it's truly like a homecoming every year. So it's really cool.
It truly is. Yeah.
But if you don't like homecoming, you're probably not going to like this.
Well,
homecoming without football.
Well,
Homecoming with bull running.
Right. What's unique about it, though, is, people hear about it and they just think, giant bull run, a big party, but there's so much more to it, and, I don't want to go kind of like a history lesson. But
well, some of the history wouldn't be bad, to be honest. How did it get here? Why is, because in today's political climate, bull running and bullfighting is certainly not politically correct. So why is this a tradition, and where did it come from?
Yeah.
And
well, it's actually a combination of two.
It is, yeah.
Two different things. So it used to be you celebrated the Saint Fermin,
right?
And that was in
patron
October,
saint. Right?
And then in July, that was kind of more of a commercial parade of animals, really.
Right. Yeah. Going back
livestock festival
to the either 12th century or the 1500s, it varies, and when you look at different histories of it. But back then, the cattlemen they of course they had plains out there, so they're bringing their cattle in, herding them in off the plains into where the butchers are. So, it's like a stock sale or anything else. But as they got into the city, then people would follow and chase with the bulls, even though it's not like what it is today. We got thousands. You had 10, 15, 20. But it just sort of became a tradition when they got to those city streets leading up to to wherever the butcher or wherever they sold their beef or cattle or whatever, the stock sale. And then that tradition became a festival. And then that was in July, which still is. And then, like Tony was saying, the Saint Fermin Festival was in October. So the folks of Pamplona over the time said, well, I don't know why they didn't need two festivals, but they decided to combine them.
It was 1591 is when they combined it, and of course, who knows truly about history.
A few years ago.
Well, a few years ago, they said that one, the weather was better in
Correct.
than it is
In July,
than it is in October. But that's when they kind of combined the two festivals, and then the official bull running part of it started. At least the first references to it was the 17th century, and then of course the Parade of Giants that started in the 19th century. And then the bull ring was actually built in 1844.
So what's the Parade of Giants?
It's giant heads, I guess, but it's giants. They're these figures. I guess they're historical figures, but they're kind of like a cartoon or a caricature of them, and they stand probably 10, 12, 15 feet tall. You know, it's somebody underneath, but they've got stilts or whatever to build them up, and they parade through the festival.
So damn, they're not real people.
Well, they are real people.
They were real people.
They were
Underneath of
the Giants are
the Giants.
But we talked about that first trip, and again, some of the people we meet. Bill Hillman was one of the first ones because he was the one who gave us our tour the day. It was the evening of the 6th because we were going to run the next day.
Yep, first day.
Highly recommended tour by anyone.
Absolutely. And then another guy that we've met along the way, Alexander Fisk-Harrison. I think Brian, Brian was actually doing a little research because Brian is the only one of us that hasn't been.
Yeah, rub it in.
And Brian hasn't been. Did you guys know that Brian hasn't been? But he threw out the name, and I was like, "You know Xander? Oh yeah, we know Xander." But
so this is my research on Wiki Travel was one of the sites I pulled up just to read a little bit about it, and John was mentioned as well as it was Alexander. Yeah, John Hemingway was mentioned, and then Xander was as well, which Tony picked up on right away in the book that he had written.
Yeah, he's got a great book. Also, I mean, we obviously interviewed John, but
probably should get Xander on.
Yeah, well, Fiesta, How to Survive the Bulls of Pamplona, and he's also a matador, so he's done
I didn't
a lot of
realize
training.
that.
Yeah, he's done a lot of, and he's very, I'll say Xander's very worldly, and he's got a lot of stuff. I mean, he's awesome to talk to. Great to hang out with. Great guy.
Those were the two highly recommended at least on Wiki Travel in regards to preparing yourself for running with the bulls. It's good to maybe do a little research and to maybe read this Xander's book
and I'd say this. That's a good place to start. That we had a couple other friends who've done some stuff, Jim, and I can't remember some of the.
Bill Hillman, Wild Bill, who was our led us and kind of guide us through the thing along with Gus and Sue. He wrote a book. I think it was also 10 Ways to Survive Running with the Bulls of Pamplona.
That's right.
And the ironic thing, and Bill was an experienced bull runner. At the time he took us on our tour in 2013, he'd already run 60, 70 times, according to my memory and what I believe he told us at that time. Anyhow, I wrote the book in, I think, 2014, and then in 2015 he got gored. And because he had written that book...
Actually, I think it was 14 he got gored.
Well, maybe it was 14.
It was the next year.
It was whatever year he wrote it the next year. I mean, he wrote it in the off-season, then when he ran the next year, when the festival came up, he actually got gored, and got gored pretty bad in the leg,
his thigh,
and hit the artery, or was real close to it, or the femoral artery.
Yeah.
Anyhow, but because he'd written that book, and because he'd been gored so bad, he kind of blew up. I mean, he was worldwide on CNNs and Foxes and all that type of stuff, and being interviewed constantly. But he was he was hurt pretty bad.
Yeah,
he was in the hospital for weeks, and then even more therapy afterwards. So it wasn't a pretty sight.
I can remember it. I don't want to make it about Bill. Bill's probably like, "Oh, guys, can you talk about something else?" Because he is a great author, by the way. But I remember, again, once you kind of get addicted to it, back then, one of the TV channels was doing live the runs, and since I didn't get to go that following year, I remember I was up. Of course, it's 3:00 in the morning. Of course, my wife's like, "What the hell are you doing?" I was like, "I'm watching the runs. I'm watching them live." Right? And they said, "Hey, coming up after today's run, we're going to interview one of the top American runners." And we're like, "That's got to be Bill." I can't imagine who else it would be. And then afterwards, the run, and they're like, "We're not sure where he is." And then all of a sudden, then you get that instant kind of thing, like, wonder what happened. And then you find out, you're kind of like, oh my God, that's crazy. Because that was the first obvious person that we knew that had been hurt.
Has he been back since?
Oh, yeah,
after-
yeah,
Oh yeah,
he's
he's been
so
back. In
yeah.
fact,
many times.
So you're right. It was 14 that he got gored, and 15 is when I went back again and
Yeah.
with John Ribble and my daughter and his son, and we met up with him, and that was his first time back, and he was pretty timid, and it said it affected his run. He still ran. And had decent runs, but it affected his, affects your mindset till you do it for a while. So it definitely had an impact. But he's run since then and been gored since.
Yes, he has. He has.
I want to clear up something about running. People, you're a runner, Brian. You think, oh, you just go along and you run along bulls. Well, it's not. Doesn't really work that way.
They run fast.
They run fast, right? It's 0.8 of a mile, and the course has a 90-degree turn in it. So if you run, I've never heard of anyone that has run the entire course. They run sections of the course.
Yeah, you can't.
A lot of people Americans, we don't understand that if you've never been there and done that. So they think, oh, they just run 0.8 of a mile. No. Bulls run at 35 miles an hour. You can stay in front of them for so long, and you have to be smart and get out of the way.
Yeah, as you mentioned, it's about, I guess it depends. It's about 0.7 of a mile, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
0.6 of a mile. But it's broken down into sections, and that's kind of what people run. Mm-hmm. And it typically lasts 3 minutes or less.
Yeah.
So that just to give you perspective, and you can't run the whole
The
thing.
entire run.
The entire the bulls.
Plus the beginning's uphill, and then other parts are a slight incline.
Yeah, because
Estafeta
so that's
is
kind of
up,
how
yeah.
it starts. I mean, we'll give people a quick rundown before we jump into the stuff we need to hit on Pamplona. But at 8 o'clock, I guess it opens up around 7:10, 7:15 is when they start, putting up the right
barriers.
Well, the barrier. I mean, you can get in there
it's
before the
6:15.
barriers are up. Yeah, around 6.
6:15 is when they start, and we used to always, and everybody who does it a lot, they have their kind of morning routines, and I've got mine now. I mean, it's not the same as everybody, but it's you walk out in the morning and you step over the people who are passed out from the night before.
Yes, exactly. Let's be honest about our morning. It's never really a routine because you never know how the night before is going to go, right?
Well, yeah, and that's one
Or
of
if
the
it's
things.
still going.
Or there you go, right to go.
Everybody's different. I know when I've been running, I'm not out after a certain amount of time. I need a certain amount of sleep because I'm not taking that kind of chance. But so get up, shower, walk out, and again, depending on where you're staying, it depends on how many drunk people or passed out people you're walking over top of. I go down. I usually get a coffee at the little corner place. Walk into the places that sell the newspapers to get my newspaper, to read what's going on and also to use for the run.
Right.
Meet up with our group of friends. Usually right around town hall, right? Mm-hmm. Walk down to the statue. Yeah.
Can I ask you? You just said the newspaper you use for the run.
Yeah, right.
Well, there's a
what
lot
does
of
that
different
mean?
things. I mean, you roll it up.
Yeah.
And then it's not to swat. It's really
It's a moving thing in front of the eyes of the bull. So you
when
run
you're
with
running,
the
you can
paper
kind of put it
behind you rolled up, and they think that it maybe attract the bull because of its movement.
it's a help.
Don't really know.
I don't know if there's a
no
full
real
science
science
behind
behind it. Right?
So,
Think
so
of
if I run, what can I use to make the bull go away?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Jump.
Well,
Your legs. That's what you could use.
but if you think of the Matador and the Cape, it's sort of
Yeah.
that same theory.
Okay.
It's just get something to focus on and get away from your body.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
But you also read the paper though, because what's awesome is the papers they're like prize fighters because the bulls are very, very revered. They're coming from the various ranches from throughout Spain, and it's a very noble thing to have your bulls run. And so they're all listed, all of the bulls, all 6 of them that are running that day.
Their weights,
their weight,
their stats,
colors, everything, their name,
and their farms.
Right.
If you know the farms, you know what type of bull you're getting. Some are real heavy, some are real fast, some are
mean.
meaner than others.
Some
Muras.
have never been around human beings.
They're all none of them have been.
Okay.
They're all fighting bulls.
Yeah.
But some are meaner than others or have the reputation.
Muros.
The Muros, yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah, so the farms are like the breeding farms are very equivalent to horse breeding farms here in the States. They take it very seriously.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah, and it's a real deal. It creates a whole commerce within itself.
We should get Xander on because he is a great aficionado on that. But,
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, I interrupted. You were talking about your routine.
Oh yeah,
And I
but that's
was
kind of it.
the
And then you
newspaper
go
I was-
down. I'm not one to go down to the statue and sing, but I'm close to that down there on what's the name of the street? Santo Domingo, right? Mm-hmm. And enjoying it, and then again you get up there, and was it like 15 minutes before 8? Is when the police barriers break down, and you're allowed to go to wherever you want to run because they force you into a tight area.
To town square and down to the
just so they can
below
clean the
ground.
streets, make sure the barricades are all up and secure. And
Well, they also are
clean up
check.
stuff.
They're making sure there aren't drunks.
Yep.
Obvious drunks in there. You can't have like pocketbooks or stuff, even a camera strapped on you. You're not allowed to wear GoPros on your head.
Right.
They're looking for those kind of things because, like a strap, if you're just carrying a bag or whatever, the horn could catch that strap and drag you. So they're making it's a safety check more than anything.
I saw that. Don't tie your bandana in a knot.
Oh no,
right?
your Panuela,
Yeah,
Panuela in a knot, right?
Slipknot.
Slipknot.
Well,
Yeah.
in fact, when I had my daughter there the first time she was going to run, we were there, and I did not realize when we left our apartment or hotel and came down there, she had a little camera strap around her thing. And I mean, it's literally in the most stressful times, that 20 minutes or so, half hour right before the rockets go off and the bulls are launched. I mean, the energy in that crowd is intense, and there's a lot of scared people, and you feel that energy. And of course, this is the first time she's ever run. So, I mean, she's nervous, and everybody's nervous, and I'm nervous. I'm like, man, I hope this goes well for her. So there was a girl behind her that had a full big size purse. I mean, Lauren's little thing was only 2 or 3 inches wide, but it was a strap that she had around her neck. And just because she didn't know, and I didn't see it, and they got the girl behind her, and I said, get behind me, try to hide. And because I was like, man, it's 5 minutes till. We don't have time to go take it to somebody or get out or whatever. And they saw her and they pulled her out and made her go.
And so she didn't get to run, right?
So she didn't get to run. So she went through all that uphill and stress. And I'm like, I'll meet. I told her where to meet her at Chaco's, and I wasn't going to get out at that point. And she wasn't planning on running another time, but she couldn't go through all that and not run. So we had to come back the next day, which was fine. And she ran and went well, but they are serious about it. They will pull people out.
Mainly a safety precaution.
It always
because
totally about safety.
Again, don't wear a belt. Anything no leather belt. Believe me, if those horns can hook something, they're going to hook something. It's crazy how that works out.
I mean, and then you get dragged along.
And then you get dragged. So it makes complete sense.
There's tons of. I mean, you can see tons of videos and pictures of it, but the one was 2017, I think. That year was the year I had a really good run, but we left the day before, so our final was the 13th, and we're in Madrid and watching that morning, and that was the year that young guy had his Panuela tied in a knot.
Saw that.
And he got caught up, and he was right at Callejon going into the bull ring, and the bull literally went up underneath of his Panuela, and he got drug.
Yeah.
And that was crazy. I mean,
He's lucky. I don't think
turned
think
out
it went through his
okay,
skin. It
it
just
did
went
not.
under his Panuela and drug him. I mean, it could have
But
easily gone through his
could have been
jaw or
bad.
easy.
Oh, yeah.
It's happened all kinds of times.
Yeah. But again, so the course though is crazy. Like Jim was saying, you start off Santo Domingo, and it's like a 10-degree incline.
No,
Once
it's
you come
sharp.
out.
It's a pretty steep hill. Up cobblestones that usually in the morning are damp and slippery. And then the rings down at the bottom that they keep them in, and they let them go. And there's about 50 feet or 50 yards before any of the runners are there. So they get this, even though they're going uphill, they get a head of steam.
Yeah, because one of the unique thing about them is their front legs are shorter than their back legs. So uphill, it's just a natural. They're fast.
Oh yeah, because it's all their powers
They're
coming
fast.
from right.
Yeah, and then you get to Town Hall.
They make a slight left
onto Mercaderes, and then one of the, La Curva is where Mercaderes
Or Dead Man's Curve.
yeah, where it's a 90-degree turn to the right, where you get onto Estafeta, And then Estafeta is not quite as steep as
No,
Santa
but
Maria.
it is
would
an
that be
incline.
the longest stretch?
It is,
Probably?
yeah, absolutely
Yes,
the longest
definitely.
stretch. Then you get to the top of Estafeta, and then you take that. Well, that's when you kind of get off of the street, right?
You
And then
veer left.
onto Telefonica.
Yeah,
Right.
going
And then
into the
the
bull ring.
Callejon. Callejon is really where it goes into it, and it gets down to 3.5 meters wide.
Right, as they go into the tunnel to the bull ring.
Right.
And that
Yeah.
has closed up before. I've
Oh,
been there
yeah,
when
well,
that happened.
That first year, because
backup.
Wild Bill,
Yep.
there ended up being a pile up just as they got through the tunnel of people falling over each other, and they kept piling up, and the bulls couldn't get through. The people in the bottom were getting suffocated because of the amount of people on them, and the bulls are trying to jump over them, and
Oh, my.
they're ramming into people, and it was nuts. And Wild Bill was part of it, and he actually pulled somebody out that had gotten injured bad and couldn't do anything for themselves at this point, had been knocked out and unconscious, and they got CPR, but they didn't think they were going to live.
Wow.
And I'm pretty sure they did live, but it was a scary
I
situation.
think the last person that died was in 2009.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. So the entire run for the bulls themselves is less than a mile?
Oh,
No,
yeah.
it's,
yeah,
well,
yeah.
it's the same. It's
8/10 of a
about
mile?
a little over
6
half
to 8
mile.
tenths of a mile, somewhere
Okay.
It's a
around.
little over half mile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually 2 minutes.
Yeah,
10 minutes for
and
them.
so
Now-
for a person running with the bulls, you're maybe 15 seconds is
Yeah,
what
15,
you get.
30
maybe.
seconds.
Right.
That'd be great.
Now,
Yeah.
what lengthens that from 2 minutes to 3 minutes, and of course that minute is a long time when you're on that course, is there's a total of 6.
Bulls, yeah.
Well, there's 6
And
bulls
6 steers.
and then 6 steers. So you got and cattle by nature are herding animals, and that's the reason for the steers. Is the steers, and they're just as big, if not bigger, but they're tame and they got cowbells on. So you know when it's a steer, but they're still scary if you don't know, or you think everything's gone, and then next thing you know you look up and there's one coming. But either way, they're there to herd the fighting bulls, and the bulls themselves, as was mentioned earlier, they haven't really been around humans at all. I mean, they're trained to fight, and they're going to fight that night in the bull ring. So on some runs, they all stay in the pack and the herd, and they just roll right on through, and it's a quick 2 minutes, and nothing happens. Or I mean, stuff happens, but it's a
Not as
quick,
dramatic,
it's a quick
right.
natural run.
Yeah, it's when you get separated.
But if a bull gets separated, then it
They
gets
become
scared. It's
dangerous.
looking there, and can't find the steers to herd them, or the rest of the crowd, or the cattle, and then they'll stop, and then they're just looking.
Looking for somebody.
They're looking
to,
for anything.
Usually movement, any movement
Any
that
movement.
they say will draw their eye to the movement. So that's why when they're separated, that's at their most dangerous. They're
Right.
more they're better. It's better when they're herding
they're lost,
together.
yeah.
Yeah,
When they're
They're
lost,
lost and scared.
when they're lost and scared, and they happen
Watch out.
and they put their eye on you, you might want to jump the fence
absolutely.
Well,
seriously.
or go under.
or go under.
Don't jump.
Yeah, no, definitely
over,
down,
just get
down.
out of the way.
Well,
Go down.
Always go down and get under, and if you fall down during the middle of it, you stay down till somebody comes and
cover
does
up.
you.
I saw that the fetal position. You're better to get. I think it was Rick Steves said you're better to get trampled 6 times than gored once.
well,
Yeah, because
absolutely.
it seems like the minute the people
Well-
try to get up, that's when they get run over by a
Well,
1,300-pound
and
animal
I-
hitting the head.
right.
You know, you're done.
I don't know if this was the last person that died, but I remember this one in 2013 being told about this person. He had fallen down and then just stood up at the wrong time and got it right in the
Right in the
chest and killed him instantly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, stay down.
Stay down.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
moral of the story is stay down.
Stay down.
Well,
Safest
runners will
way.
tap you.
Yeah.
If it's
Yeah,
clear,
people
they'll
will come
tap
get
you
you.
and say it's clear. So
And there are it's a pastores that are running along, and they have long
reeds,
sticks. One, they're gonna, if you're bugging and trying to pull the tail of the bull and stuff, they're gonna slap you. But they're also there to keep the bulls going too, if to whatever degree,
to
or
keep
if
them in
or
the
if they
herd.
get separated to get them going the right direction and that
Yeah.
type of stuff.
Okay.
So there are people with
And when you say they'll tap you, that's if you've gone down and you're staying down.
yeah, stay
They
down.
Tap
because
you
you
to
don't
let
look
you
up. They'll
know.
just tap
let
you
you
so
know
it's
it's
clear.
safe. It's clear to get up.
And the pastores you'll recognize again because they have the long reeds, but they also wear green.
Green.
Yeah, they have green
Green
outfits,
uniforms. I remember the first time we ran, and of course it's a blur. It goes pretty fast, and the bulls had gone by, and we were pretty close that first time. I mean, within a few feet. and your adrenaline and your heart's just beating. It's like, did this really just happen and all this? And then good 30 seconds, maybe even a minute later, I mean, because you've kind of taken that deep breath and think it's over. And next thing you know, you hear a big ruckus behind you, and there's another.
It's the sweepers.
We didn't know, but it was the sweeper steers that are coming through, which they're just as big, but they're not mean, and they're not looking to.
They're just jogging.
But they're just jogging. They come through, but you don't know. It's the first time.
They're there to pick up
Just in
another
case.
bull and try to get it
Yeah,
herded
just
in
in
case
case.
it was
If it
staggered
got lost.
right.
But it did
Yeah.
the first
Sweepers.
time. It kind
But the first time you're like, oh, Jesus, and you're trying to get in a doorway or whatever. I mean, experienced runners are going to laugh at you, but
of course.
But that first time, it's a little unnerving.
And obviously we've known several people that have been injured. You've been injured. One of the guys, dislocated his shoulder really, really bad, and I don't know if he's ran since.
Right.
I think probably a little risky for him to run.
One of our friends got knocked out.
We
right?
won't talk about that.
Okay.
Because that was a steer. Teaser.
Right,
But
but
it's still
they're just as
scary.
dangerous.
Yeah,
That's just
absolutely
it. He was
scary.
he was running along.
He had a great run.
Had
too.
a great run in the middle of the pack, and of course he's looking, I guess, over, and I might have the sides wrong, but looking say over his right shoulder at where the normal bull traffic was coming, and then he just happens to look over to the left, and he gets hit a horn right underneath his eye, cut it open, knocked him out,
Yeah.
and it was a steer. And a steer's horn, but I mean, they're still 12, 14, 1,500 pounds. So, I mean, the impact is big.
Those horns are
scary.
still hard.
They're,
to
and
fight,
they're still
yeah.
hard, yeah. So
He said
he had to get.
I'll never forget. He said, "I've been in several fights in my life, but I've never been hit that hard ever because I was out."
How does he even know?
instantaneously.
I mean,
Well, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But
Wow.
I will say this too, though: the Red Cross and the medical staff
They're
are
on it.
top notch.
Yeah, they're on it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I
they're
mean
on
they're pretty diligent about it. That one run that I hit the deck inside the bull ring, and it's sand, and I got hamburgered elbow and knee, and lost my sash and all kinds of stuff, and rolled underneath of the fence, but as soon as they saw blood, they were like, "You need to go to medical."
They make you get cleaned up, even if it's cuts,
Yeah.
scratches.
And they have a buffer zone outside of the course. So they have the course that's separated by let's say a split rail fence.
It's 2 rails of fence.
And then they have a buffer zone, and then they have split rail fence again. And that buffer zone is for all medical. So nobody's allowed to be in that buffer zone. It's for the medical personnel
So they
only.
can get you in,
And when
get
you
out.
dive out, either jump over or dive under the fence, you're in the buffer zone. And if you're bleeding, that's where
Yeah.
they tend to you.
Yeah, he helped.
They've got it.
They
figured
literally
out.
helped drag me. I mean, because I went down, and I think there were still two or three bulls behind me. And when I went down, of course, I'm crawling and rolling towards the side, and somebody reached in and grabbed me and drug me under, and then they were like, "Blood, you got to go."
Mm-hmm.
So I can tell you that was probably the first time from an adrenaline. My adrenaline was pumping so hard I got nauseous.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That was pure adrenaline, but yeah, that was wild. Still to this day, the best run I've had. But.
Yeah, so needless to say, your adrenaline's pumping. If you're gored real good and you don't know it, you're gored in a major artery, you could bleed out real
Right.
quickly. And not
We
know
won't
it.
talk about that.
I think you'll know.
Yeah, we won't talk about that. Well, let's just say. So we talked about that. Let's go through. It is Pamplona. It is awesome. It's San Fermin, but we still talk about our places to stay. Things to do, and wine and dining. So places to stay, and we are staying kind of around the San Fermin Festival in Pamplona.
Old city.
Yeah, so
old quarter.
places to stay. We've stayed. Well, you did stay in a hotel one time, right?
I did, and I wish I could have found the name of it. This was in 2015. It's about 6 blocks away from the main plazas and all, and it was a decent little hotel, a typical European kind of a boutique hotel, only like 3 or 4 floors, sort of like an old house. But John Ribble booked it, and I don't have the name, and I apologize because I wish I could give it to you. But it worked, and like I said, that was probably the furthest I stayed away, but still only a 5 or 6 block walk, and very easy to get back to. So there are hotels you can get fairly close.
how far in advance do you?
You
think
want to
you
be
need to book
booking
those?
around the first of the year
Right.
for July.
Okay, 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've talked about this before on festival type of trips. I I mean, try to book something where you can have a cancellation policy. So if there's a chance you're going to go ahead and book it. And that way you have a place, because the hotels, well, let's be clear. There's only room, what they say, for about 1% to 2% of the actual people who attend.
Yeah.
What?
Literally. So you should see it. It is the most chaotic looking thing you've ever seen when these people camp out outside of the area, outside of the old town, outside the city. There's campgrounds. And these like 2 and 3 kind of buses that are linked together come rolling in. And it's like a packed subway of New York when they unload in the morning. I mean, it's crazy, the number of people that are in town and the number of hotel rooms that exist.
Yeah.
So we've rented apartments, and we've got some decent connections and have been able to get some stuff. The first year we stayed at a hostel that's about 5 blocks from the Bull Ring.
Yep.
It was Hostel Hemingway.
Hostel Hemingway.
We still haven't figured out if it's open or closed right now, right?
We're getting mixed signals. In our show notes, we're going to have a thing for top hostels in Pamplona, but it's one site says they're permanently closed, others says temporarily closed.
Yeah.
But it was a good location, very
Great.
cheap.
Yeah, it was very inexpensive. We booked January 2nd. It was the first time you could book. And they had just renovated it that year in 2013. They renovated it in January. We were there in July. It was a great location, great spot, inexpensive. Since then, we've stayed down closer to
right in the middle
Castillo.
of it. Those were Airbnbs?
Yeah, both of them we did through Airbnb.
But they were within a block or two of where you get into the street to run with the bulls.
And we have some good connections. I mean, we
do. Graham
with Pamplona Posse. We could in the show notes we can put that link up, and then also Mustarts.
Yeah, and Stephanie. Mustarts, Heart of Pamplona. She rents apartments all through Pamplona year round.
Yeah.
That's what she does. So
give a shout out to Stephanie. And
she'd be great.
Get that link out. So if you're looking,
absolutely,
it's a great place.
Give you an idea, Brian. I guess there's about 200,000 people in the population of Pamplona without, normal time with normal times.
Right.
They get about 2 million visitors in 2 weeks. Gives you an idea.
8 days.
8 days. Okay, 8 days. Well, yeah. There you go. So that's a lot of people in a week and a half.
And imagine the economic impact by not having it.
Right.
You're right.
That's what that 8 days is. Most people
they make their hay in those 8 days. They really do. They really do.
One of the other hotels though that I know it's expensive, and I don't even know how early you got this. La Perla, which is right there by the Windsor.
Yeah,
which we'll talk about. One of our favorite hangout places to have a beer or
beverage
two,
or
however many. But La Perla is right there on the corner of the plaza. It's a great, grand old hotel, I have no idea how much that one is. But
during that week, it's probably pretty salty.
Yeah, but we've gotten great. The thing about it is, if we're talking about places to stay, you want to be in the old city center area, but you can go 4 or 5 blocks out from the plaza, and it's a little quieter. It's not going to be quiet. Let's be clear.
Yeah.
There's no downtime.
And that's probably what the craziest thing, or the thing it's hard to prepare yourself for. If you're in that old quarter, there is no downtime.
None.
No.
So 4 or 5 blocks away, you might get a little quiet time around 4 or 5 in the morning, but not total.
Till like 6.
Yeah, till 7.
Actually, the quietest time is like 11.
Oh, so in the morning.
Yeah.
After breakfast.
Breakfast, after the runs, 11 a.m. to 2-ish, 3-ish. That's the quietest time. And I found out,
siesta.
Hey, man, this is the time to sleep.
Well, that's what the smart thing is, right? So we always say, and Jeremiah, we talk about this so many times. It's like, okay, you do your run, you go do your Chaco, you do your couple drinks, you go grab breakfast, which includes bottles of wine and whatever else, and maybe you do a couple other things, but you're supposed to be taking a siesta at lunchtime. And then you meet back up, usually at Windsor at 4 o'clock. If you don't get that nap, it makes for a long day.
It does.
A very long day.
Right.
Well, it makes it even longer because if you didn't get that nap, that means you were day drinking.
Yes.
Which goes along with morning drinking, which goes along with night drinking. And it's
it makes for a
It all
long
just blends
day.
it together.
Yeah.
Well, then I would think you could sleep through all the chaos after that.
Yeah, well,
One
in some
would
cases
think.
you can,
Yeah,
but
one would
they
think.
call that passing out.
Yeah.
Oh, I said sleep. Didn't
I do remember the one year, Eric, when it was me, Jim, and Eric, right? It was just us three that year.
Mm-hmm.
And Eric, I don't know if he volunteered or drew the short straw, but he had the front room.
Oh, right.
Oh my God! And it was right on the street.
Right.
And I just remember those bands just rolling in at like 4 o'clock and just playing.
That's when I found out. Oh my God! And you don't get mad. What are you going to do?
Right.
I mean, they're banging big drums bigger than you, and there's bands going around 3, 4 in the morning. You're just like, well, the heck with sleep. And then you find out, 11 a.m. is the time to sleep.
Yeah.
You have to learn the hard way, I guess.
I mean, there was literally a bar across the street. There was one kind of underneath of us, and then one right across the street. And we were only on the second floor, and they didn't shut the doors until 6 a.m. The music didn't stop. We were like, oh my God.
Well, and Eric mentioned the drums, but these are little marching bands and drum lines, little drum lines like you would have from
a
your high
dozen
school
people
band.
or something.
Yeah, a dozen people, a few horns, and then a drum line, and they're just sitting there going at it. And usually they have one real big, at least
The
a
bass drum, yeah.
bass drum that I mean,
That
one of
lead,
these was 7, 8 feet tall.
Yeah.
It's huge.
on rollers.
awesome.
They're
Oh,
rolling.
Oh yeah,
it
they're
around the
rolling
town.
that, but they're beating the hell out
I'm
of
telling
it.
you though, it is. And what people don't also understand is it is a very family oriented thing too. Obviously, the 8-year-old kids aren't out at 4 a.m., but the all day long. I mean, it's just a fantastic environment. I mean,
No, but the 12 and the 13 and the 14-year-olds
they
are.
are, yeah. But they have fun stuff. They do the kid bull runs. I mean, they chase them and with like it looks.
Sparklers.
Imagine a wheelbarrow, and they got a bull in the front of it. It squirts it with squirt guns, type of thing. It's just a fun environment. I mean, but it is loud. It's busy, and there is a lot of
good street food.
there's a lot of stuff that happens in the street.
It all happens in the street.
Some of it's sleeping, some
Some
of
of
it's
it's not.
drinking. There's fireworks, there's singing,
and there's other,
Fireworks
concerts
every night, right?
Every night,
other
fireworks.
things happening in the street.
There's all kinds of things happening in those streets.
Yes, they are.
And they clean them down very thoroughly every morning.
Yes, they hose them down.
Even the people
Yeah.
passed out
You're
on
in
the
the way.
streets.
Yes,
should.
you're in the way.
They
Yes.
should. So yeah, just think about that. If you're staying, if you are with your family, you don't want to stay down that close. You want to get a little out more towards the Citadel and that area. Then you're at least closing from a walking standpoint, but you're not too crowded. But
And it is family oriented, so you don't have to be if the group you're with's not into the day drinking and the party and that part of the fiesta. It's still very family oriented. There's a lot going on. There's a carnival. There's lots of great food. There's lots of just stuff going on for the family, and you see lots, especially the Spanish families. You see the kids and the mom and the dad, and so you do see a lot of that. And it's a weird combination, but it's all there in white and red.
yeah. So all right, so we got places to stay, things to do. Obviously, the big thing is just the festival in itself and the chupanaza, the enceros, the bull runs,
Yep,
the
encero.
closing ceremonies. There's tons of stuff like that. Of course, if you're into it or not, we can debate that to your blue in the face about
Right.
the bull fights.
But those are in the evening every
those in the
night.
evening. There's a lot of things to do. One of the things we've been doing recently is taking the break midweek, and we took the bus to San Sebastian.
San Sebastian.
About an hour bus ride.
50 minutes to an hour bus ride. I hear it's about the same by train, though we didn't do that. Gorgeous. If you haven't heard of San Sebastian, it's a gorgeous coastal town. That's what's that an inlet for? Is that the Atlantic? Is that?
Oh, I honestly don't know. There goes my geography.
It's kind
test.
of a bay, but France is on the other side, just so you know. But it's gorgeous. And the food there, they've got 3 or 4 Michelin restaurants, but it doesn't matter where you walk in. The tapas are incredible.
They're just
the beach is
insane.
incredible. I mean, it's just a fantastic place, and we did it on a break, but we need to go there for our own little vacation. I mean, it is that incredible of a place.
Yeah, the food was fantastic.
So when you say a break, how many How much time did you spend
It was
there?
a day trip.
Just-
We literally
a day trip.
we got
Okay.
it was typically again you do the run at 8:00. Some people skip it obviously, but if you can still do your run, go to Chaco's, grab your couple of drinks, and then go
Yeah.
hit the bus.
Yep, hit the bus. At
50 minutes, you're up, and then you get your bus ride back.
Whenever,
Yeah.
however long you want to be there.
Yeah, what do we come back like at 7?
Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, we're
Just
back.
get back in time for dinner because again we don't eat till like 9.
Well, we'd been eating all day at the
Right.
tapas restaurants. I mean, they were just incredible. So we
Yeah,
just
the
keep
food
snacking.
is just it was ridiculous.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
San Sebastian, they're in a better day trip, to be honest.
No, and
Anywhere.
again, and I know the first year, Jeremiah and them, they went up. They were there a couple days, and then we met
Yeah.
in Barcelona.
Yep.
But yeah, there's a couple of the top restaurants in the world are in there, so definitely a good day trip.
Have we talked about how to get there? Actually, from most people. Go
Yeah,
to
we were just
Madrid
saying.
and-
Yeah, we
oh,
were just
okay.
about that.
We grabbed the bus up through the Pyrenees. I mean, so even the ride's beautiful.
Yeah.
And then you get to this coastal town that's just gorgeous.
The one thing
Yeah.
I will say, and it doesn't no matter where you are, just be careful. They are very, very cautious on drinking and driving during the festival. So when you take a bus out of there, as soon as you get to the outskirts of Old Town, there must have been 30 cop cars just pulling people over or checking and doing whatever. Because it's a big festival, they just want people hitting the streets. So don't even consider it. Don't rent a car. Don't go driving if you're consuming. So just
There's
steer clear.
plenty other
Too
ways
many
to
other
get around.
ways. Buses and trains. Don't even worry about it. But
Absolutely.
but the Citadel, that's kind of cool too. And there's a lot of history to that. We don't have time to really kind of dig into that piece of it, but we did a big tour of that the first year that we went. That's also kind of where the fireworks each night
Right.
during San Fermin. That's what's really cool is every night there's fireworks.
Right.
And very good fireworks.
very good
I mean,
fireworks.
they put on a show.
Yeah.
It's a
excellent.
show. The only thing we haven't done is closing ceremony.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, we definitely need to do that.
That would be fun. I would like to.
I wanna see
enjoy that.
That's gotta be kind of an emotional too, though.
Yeah.
Right?
That whole closing and wrapping up, that whole ending. But it's kind of cool. But anything else we can think of things to do? I mean, I know there's a lot to do, but I think that's probably the. I mean, if you're
that's-
there for the festival, that's
Yeah,
really
I mean, the
what you're there
festival
for.
really is what takes everything up, and there is so much going on with the festival that those are your day trips.
I remember
Yeah.
the last time we were there, we were stumbling around the outskirts of it, and we stumbled upon an outdoor eating area.
Yeah, we know where that. Yeah,
Right. I remember exactly.
That's over close
where
to
it
the
is.
hotel near the Irish
Irish
bar.
pub, yeah.
And there were, how many of us were there? Probably, there were at least 6 or 7 of us at that time. And
I was napping.
yeah, you were napping, and they brought us a picnic table full of food.
Oh,
I mean, it was a picnic table full of food.
yeah, that was.
Steak, steak that thick, and all kinds of. We're like, we didn't mean to order all this food, but
Right.
we ended up eating it, didn't we?
That was one of them. Usually, the language barrier is not bad with your servers.
Right.
It was very bad there, and us not knowing Spanish. So we're saying, well, yeah, we'll take this, this, and this. Oh, and they're shaking their head, yeah. And they just brought gobs of food. This is like at midnight, and we weren't that hungry.
Well-
and I mean, just got a ton. I mean, steak and I mean, and you see it on the spit there. They're
Sausages, all kinds
Oh
of
my
stuff.
goodness, the food was incredible.
It was
but
really
we
good.
got way more than we needed or wanted, but it was incredible.
Yeah.
And these are just tents, so they were set up sort of like a fair. So
Yeah.
it's not like a restaurant. We can say it was this restaurant. It was part of the festival, and
You just walked around the outskirts
You
of
just-
the tent, and you just picked what you wanted.
Yeah.
You know, what they were cooking on grills and spits and everything.
Yeah,
else.
well, that kind of leads into, typically our third segment when we talk about destinations is, the whining and dining. Where do you eat and drink and, what's good? And, Spain is obviously famous for their pinchos, their tapas, small dishes. And the first year we got there really early, we were there early, the 4th or the 5th.
Opening ceremonies.
So we were before opening ceremonies, and we got to see some of the places prior to the festival, and just like with anything, they kind of change. I think some of their food, some of the bars,
Make
just
it
because
easier
it's
on
easier.
themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
But there's some great places. It's just like anything that's kind of touristy. You're gonna have some of them that are just okay. I mean, you're just there for sustenance, to soak up some of the
Bread and water. Yeah.
The beer you've been drinking from earlier, but there's some great places, just some great places to eat. I'm going to be selfish. I'm not going to share a couple of them that we found. Just being truthful, because that's part of the adventure. Go find things that you like, right? And there's some cool places that I will share. I mean, right off of the main Plaza Castillo, is it
Tagliatelle?
We hit that every time.
Yep, it's Italian restaurant.
Great Italian
great
pizza, pastas.
Everything
it's
you get
big.
It's big, yeah. So you can see.
And that's what I was saying. So we can share that one because there's usually plenty of capacity.
And they're used to rolling people in,
Yeah,
because it's right there in the main plaza.
Yeah.
So they're going to do business no matter what. But it is
good.
It is good.
It is good. It cracks me up that one year that Jeremiah rolled in and he'd had a little drink.
Slightly.
And he just ordered a pizza and he didn't pay any attention to it, and it had tuna fish on it.
Yeah, tuna on the pizza.
Not like raw, like fresh, like sushi grade tuna. I mean, it was like
it was like canned tuna.
It looked like canned tuna.
On
it was
the
the most
pizza.
bizarre.
Star-kissed.
Yeah, it was like the most bizarre pizza. And he was like, "Wow, I didn't know I ordered that."
Yeah, you ordered that, Jeremiah.
Yeah, but it is great.
He ate some of it.
But we always go there. Couple
I've
other
never had
places.
a bad meal there.
Yeah, a couple of places.
Tell us.
No, it's all good.
Good
Well, I don't know
wine.
about the tuna, but
Yeah, well,
but there's a couple great places. Great little steakhouse that had oh my god, just some great food. Not too far from there.
It's right around the corner. I don't remember the name of it. And it's
again, I'm not
small,
going to share.
And Tony's not sharing, but it was very good.
some of the steakhouses may be serving the bull that fought.
Not for that.
No,
Well,
not there.
that's special. You'd have to get that. They got to butcher all that. That doesn't happen that soon, but that happens later. But the one of the interesting things is about the whole festival is kind of like the parties and the camaraderies, like the vodka party, and John Hemingway mentioned in his book Bacchanalia, some of the things that we've attended, which is really cool. But Jeremiah, I mean, a lot of the people have started kind of like these trends as far as this is what we're going to do, Guinness Mondays, right? That's not just a Pamplona thing. That's kind of all over the globe as far as having a Guinness on a Monday. But if there's one or two Mondays that happen during those 8 days, we pretty much know where our crew of people are going to be.
At the Irish pub drinking Guinness.
Yes,
on that Monday.
absolutely, and lots of it, and it's fun. I mean, it's just kind of a great thing. The vodka party is cool, but Jeremiah started one too. He invited everybody. There's a cool Asian place, Asian food, not too far off of Estafeta.
Really?
Yeah. Invites the whole crew, and God love him, he takes care of the bill and.
He does, and they.
Wow.
We were there that time, and you usually get through 3 or 4 or 5 courses and think. I mean, it just kept coming. It was like 8 or 10 courses just kept coming and coming. It's like, dude, can we just leave? I mean, we've been here a couple hours now.
We're done eating.
Well, you think you're done, and they bring something else out. I was like,
I'm like, I can't eat anymore. I'm like, what are you
Exactly.
doing? Of course, this is like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night when you sit down for dinner. But that's kind of it's Jeremiah's thing. It was just awesome. We know that I think he does that on Tuesdays,
I think so. I think that's a Tuesday.
Tuesday or Wednesday. Everything's based off of a day, right?
You do tend to lose track of time, don't you?
Yeah, so it's all based off of the day. So
Well, the festival starts July 6th every year, right?
Correct.
So it's going to be a different day every year.
Yep.
So the Tuesday is not necessarily the same day of the festival every year, right?
Yeah. See, it just doesn't matter. It's just like Guinness Mondays, like 2017. I think again we rolled in. We got in on Tuesday. We got to Madrid on Monday and took the train up Tuesday morning.
Yep.
And we knew we were going to run Tuesday. By the time we got in, it's afternoon. We're like, we don't even need to text anybody. We don't need to call anybody. We know exactly where everybody is. It is Monday. Irish pub, here we come. And literally, we just rolled in. What's up, guys?
Absolutely.
Wait, is there just one Irish pub, though?
There's actually 2, but there's only one that we all go to.
Right.
Okay.
And it says Irish Cafe Pub, but it's also called
ahead,
its real
say it.
name is Cervecia Baztan. Baztan.
Cerveza Bastan.
Yep. Baztan.
It's near the one hotel, right on the outskirts of the old
that name.
area, about several blocks from Plaza de Castillo.
Yep.
But still, it's just awesome. But
It is.
it's just one of those things. And then food. The other thing I would say too is breakfast is a big thing. We'll talk. I guess we can kind of combine some of the drinking and the eating. We've talked about before. At least our crew and a lot of, I would say, the non-Spanish runners tend to gather at Chaco.
Yep, Bar Chaco.
Right there in Plaza Castillo. After you run, it's kind of like a check-in point, and
yep, everybody gathers, celebrates, make sure everybody's all right. If somebody doesn't show up, figure out what happened to them. Somebody usually saw what happened, and then they have either vanilla or chocolate Brandy Alexanders that they serve out of a window.
Yeah,
so,
pretty much.
So it's
spectacular.
Yeah.
So what's a Brandy Alexander?
It's basically brandy or like cognac, right?
Yep, cognac.
And chocolate or vanilla milk.
Yep, like a Yoo-hoo. Think chocolate
Yoo-hoo.
Yoo-hoo or vanilla.
It's delicious.
It is delicious. It is good.
I'm a big vanilla
Nectar
guy.
of the gods.
I usually like chocolate versus vanilla, but not in those.
Yeah.
I'm a vanilla guy.
Yeah, I am too. I didn't like the chocolate ones either.
I'm gonna tell you, after 2 of them.
All right.
If you step into the 3rd one, it's gonna be a big day.
And see, Brian, you see what happens.
You'll be one of
Pretty
the
sure
people on the street.
The 3rd one usually happens.
Yeah,
It does.
Well, you see what happens. So what happens is you run, you go have your drinks at Bar Chaco, and then everybody goes out to breakfast, usually 15, 25 people. Then you eat breakfast, and then half of those people end up continuing on to day drinking, and the other half go and take a nap. Well, whatever half you're in determines probably the rest of your day. It's kind of happens right there in the morning.
If you pick the wrong group, what you had planned probably ain't going to happen.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
You could end up at breakfast with 14 bottles of wine, and it's not lunchtime.
It's been known
yet.
to happen.
Because after you've done it a couple times, you're like, all right, what am I going to do? Am I going to stay here and drink, or am I going to go nap?
Yeah.
So you just make
There's
that decision.
consequences.
There are consequences, right?
You get up, you're a little hungover, you make the run, the adrenaline kicks in, you're still very tired, you go to Bar Chaco, and those first couple of Brandy Alexanders kick in, and you're like, I start feeling a little better.
That adrenaline, though, is just such
all the
You
adrenaline
get a little
is amazing.
cocky, maybe.
Oh, sure.
Not necessarily cocky, because you're like, oh man, I didn't feel good this morning, and then you get that breakfast, little food, and then somebody starts ordering those little bottles of wine.
Oh yeah, rosé with breakfast.
Rosé with breakfast, and
Can't go
next
wrong.
thing you know, you're rolling.
Next thing you know, it's 3 p.m.
You feel invincible, but you're not.
Right.
And then you're like, do I really need a nap? I don't know. Maybe not. A couple of other places, though. I mean, food-wise, like I said, I think you can't go wrong with the pinchos and the tacos. And there's also a Burger King right on Mercaderos.
Oh, wow, yeah, right in the middle of
Right
it.
in the middle of it.
Right on the course.
It's pretty crowded, but
It is.
if you
It's
want
two.
to venture
It's
in
2
there.
floors.
Yeah. But there's great little street food,
There
great
is.
little pizzas.
Yep.
I would say there's just good stuff all over the place. So
Pastries,
just try your own thing. I mean, that's what I would say, hands down, is just
And
explore.
get off a block or two, and then
Yes.
you're gonna really. That's where you really find the little diamonds in the
Find
rough.
little cool stuff.
Because they're not like America. You don't always know there's a good restaurant. There aren't big signage. So I mean, there are in some places, but in a lot of places, you're going in and you were told to meet there, and that's how we found that steakhouse.
Yeah.
there was no sign for it,
No.
and it was up just a
Flight of
doorway up a
steps.
flight of steps, and we're like, are we sure we're in the right place? And there was nothing that had give you any idea you're going to a restaurant.
So did somebody refer you to this
Yes.
restaurant?
Yes.
So you got a
Yes.
recommendation then?
Yeah, but I mean, that's just it. Get out and explore, because there's a lot there. But if you're just walking by, you might not know it's there.
It's okay to get lost in Pamplona. It's
Yeah.
really not that big, and you really can't get lost. I mean,
Follow the noise, you'll
yeah,
find
follow
your way
the noise.
back.
It'll take you to the center, and once you get to the center,
Somebody
you
will
can
show you
figure
the way.
everything out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so get
but-
lost, have fun.
But as far as places we tend to congregate,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we do share the love with a lot of places to have a drink. But, I mean, again, our crew typically, the Chaco in the morning, we disperse. But everybody meets back up, right?
Well, just to give them a center point, Plaza Castillo is a big, huge plaza, old style, center of town type thing where they have a lot of concerts and stuff there. It's just a huge open square. And then around the outside are the bars and restaurants. So all these places Tony's about to start talking about are kind of centered there.
Yeah. So we all meet up at Windsor, Bar Windsor. I mentioned it before. It's right near the one hotel. But it's a great place. It's on the corner of the plaza. We all hang out, take up anywhere from 2 to 20 tables. And
Yep.
depends on how many people
Depends
end
on the
up.
crowd and at
show
what
up.
time.
Yep.
Bar Windsor's mentioned in Hemingway's original book, isn't it? Sun Also Rises or Chaco? One of the two are mentioned.
Oh, Aruna is.
Aruna,
yeah.
Cafe
Yeah.
Aruna, which
Cafe
is
Right
is
across.
right across from it.
Right.
And that has, I think they took down the statue, didn't they, of Hemingway?
I'm not sure. I've got a picture with it.
Yeah, it was
Of
up there
me.
originally, but I think they may have moved it or taken it out.
Maybe, but if so, it's just in the last couple of years.
Yeah, but Cafe Aruna is right there. It's fun too. I mean, all those bars through
Oh,
there
yeah.
is
A lot of
are
activity
good.
going
A lot of
on.
activity.
Another good piece of advice is take Euro. A lot of times you can't get into the banks and get. I had that problem. Like maybe the second time I went, somebody needed to get money, and we kept going into the banks and couldn't.
Cash machines,
But
man.
just use the
yeah,
ATMs.
right.
Cash
Take Euro,
machines.
Yeah.
There's one right from Windsor. I can literally just visualize it. It's 1 block away,
Yep.
right towards Mercaderes, right on the corner. You're close. There's a lot of cash machines through there now that's much easier.
But credit cards,
Used, yeah.
you can
Yeah,
use
yeah,
them.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can. I mean, it's just a lot. Again, a lot of times it's easier from just a cash perspective because
Maybe a little
it
less
does get
expensive.
busy and it's kind of crazy. And when there's a group, we end up kind of running a little bit of a tab and paying it. But when you're just kind of towards the end or something, you're kind of going to one-offs. It's a little easier just to kind of just go in and grab a couple drinks and go. But I mean, I guess those are our favorite places. Again, there's a ton of places to go, things to see. And again, we talk about the bucket list things. I mean, I don't know what our bucket list looks like. It's a
Right.
little different probably than a lot of people's, but this is one of those things that I would say, I don't know how to describe it. I really don't. I mean, I know some people look at us like, you are absolutely insane. Absolutely crazy.
I
But
can remember coming back the first time I went, and my son was probably late teenager, and I thought, teenagers in our country, they know how, 19, 20-ish, they have fun and learn how. They don't hold a candle to the Spaniards. Sorry, they really don't. Once I went through that opening ceremony and I realized what a good time they have, I said to myself, well, we have to get some Americans over there to experience it because we just don't do anything like this over here. We really don't. Not like they do. It is a different experience.
Well, their society doesn't frown on it.
Right, yeah.
it really is a big celebration. That's
It
the
really
big
is. And you feel it when you're
and-
there
and-
and when you really feel
And
it.
I would say this, it's one of those situations that I don't know if I've really felt any negative vibe in the multiple times that I've been there.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree.
And usually when we're in Pamplona, we're there for about 5 days, four runs, typically 5 days. And I just don't recall really any negative situations. Not
Except
any.
pickpocketing a little bit.
Well,
in
yeah,
the very
but that
beginning. That's just being-
happens.
Right.
I mean, that has nothing to do with the people that are there. That's people taking advantage of a situation. But the people that are there to have a good time. And when you get that many people in that environment, it's just amazing that you don't have any situation. There's not
absolutely.
fights. There's not
Rarely.
arguments.
No.
I mean,
Rarely.
it's just a very, very
Jovial,
good time.
right.
People are just there to have fun.
Everybody's there for the same reason, to let
Yeah.
loose, enjoy life.
and just have fun,
Mm-hmm.
So you just have to be in that kind of frame of mind, and you can have a good time. And I highly, highly recommend it. And again, it's one of those things, like we said before when we started the show. I think it either bites you and you love it, or you're like, I don't need to do it again.
Yeah, I've been there, done that. Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know. I'm ready to go back.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. I mean, that's what stinks with it being COVID and canceled. I mean, I was planning on going this year and
Yeah.
seeing all the people, and you see how sad or upset our friends are on Facebook. And
Yeah.
I think that's where social media has made a big difference because you see these people. That's the only time you see them in person is at the festival. But you do stay in touch and you see what they do in their regular lives when they're not just wearing white and red and
Right.
and all that. So it's pretty cool. So you get that kind of bond going. And so then you're excited to see them. You want to see them. You want to go
Right.
have those
Right,
drinks and get a little crazy. So it's a cool situation.
Yeah, I mean, one of the guys we met a few years ago, Ricardo, lives out in Colorado.
right.
And he said, he just posted a little while ago, I can't believe I met all you guys literally just 5 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
his first time that he went. He's like, I feel like I've known everybody forever. And that's just kind of what happens. It just becomes like a big camaraderie, which is really cool.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
It is.
Yeah. So, well, Pamplona,
Yep.
San Fermin.
We're going to miss you this year.
We are going to miss you. Viva San Fermin.
Yeah, Viva San
Viva
Fermin.
San Fermin.
Yeah, so until next year, I guess.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely.
So, Brian, you
Wow.
going to go next year?
Oh, my gosh. Thinking of that, can
I
you
heard-
imagine what it's going to be like?
It's going to be fun.
Holy cow.
I heard they were going to do it for 2 weeks next year to make up for this
You
year.
know, Brian, I think you're on to something there. But you may want to call. You may want to call Spain.
I tell you
and have a
what,
meeting with
it's
them and
going to
tell them-
be, it'll be a little bit unleashed, I think, for a lot of
wow.
them.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Because it's
Can't
all,
wait to see Maybanks.
Oh, my.
Yeah, it's all a group of people that just love to let
Right.
go and know how to let go and have fun and enjoy themselves and I can imagine how it's going to be after missing a year of
Yeah.
it, because they
be
really look
good.
forward to it.
It'll be good.
Absolutely.
Well, again, I guess we can wrap up on this one. Anybody
Sure.
got any parting shots, any final thoughts?
If it's on your bucket list, do it. You won't
Yeah.
regret it.
Well, again, check out, we're going to have our show notes up. We're going to add some things on there. If anybody has any questions about it,
Yep.
any thoughts, concerns, ideas, hey, shoot us a message.
Absolutely.
Reach out on Facebook or any of the social media. Again,
Absolutely.
catch us at Friends That Carry On. Of course, check out the website, friendsthatcarryon.com. And again, don't forget to get on there and register and look out for the fan page so you can win one of the 4 or 5 trips a year that we're going to give away.
Absolutely. Good stuff. Maybe you go to
I
Pamplona.
was going to say
Maybe
maybe
Pamplona.
one
Maybe
should
we'll
be
do
the
that.
2
Maybe we'll do a
trip
little
to
organized.
Pamplona next
If you did that, somebody might join you.
Yeah.
Somebody in the group may possibly.
Somebody will be
Oh,
there.
no, we'll be there.
Right. Yeah,
It's
that's
like,
what I'm saying.
You just don't have to hang out with us if you don't
Well,
want to.
you can come out, whatever. It's your choice.
But again, please shoot us a message if you have any questions on anything or any ideas or thoughts. And again, check us out on the website. And I guess we'll catch you guys again next week. Oh, again, don't forget to check out the new thing that we just started is our weekly travel updates.
Yes.
Our normal podcast has been dropping on Thursdays. And now on Tuesdays, Monday or Tuesdays, we'll have a travel update.
Right. From our travel experts from around the country, giving their insight on best deals and places to be booking.
Yeah.
Yeah, next week will be Tom Carnes out of La Macchia Travel in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Very
right?
good.
Very
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
So they're just helping us update on as things are starting to unwind, hopefully, and what's opening up around the globe, and deals that are available and what you can jump on. They're typically 15 to 25-minute kind of podcasts.
And
But
when
just
Tom-
kind of letting you know what's going on.
Chock full of information.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
When
Good
check
Tom-
that
info.
out.
Really good info.
Oh,
on this
yeah.
one with Tom.
Definitely listen to the episodes that are coming up. So
Yep, absolutely.
This
And when-
one has an incredible offer that if you catch
you
it
don't
in
want
the
to
first
say
couple
that
of
right now
days.
because this one's going to drop behind that one.
No, it'll before it expires. Oh well, this one. I see what you're saying. Yeah. So
So
by
we're
the
a
time
little
you
off
hear
our
this,
timing.
maybe it might still be.
Yeah, the
available.
offers there'll be another offer. but
There'll be
so-
other
yeah,
offers,
just
and
stay attention.
when Tom's not giving us advice, Matty K from Matty K Travel in Long Island, New York,
Yep.
will be giving us advice.
Yep,
So,
so
Awesome.
two
every
great
Tuesday.
travel experts.
Yeah. So again, stay tuned, and again, so thanks everyone, and we'll be in touch, I guess, next week.
Absolutely.
Next week.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Adios.
Be sure to join the friends next week for another great discussion. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. You can also find the Friends and other content at www.friendsthatcarryon.com or check us out on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook by searching Friends That Carry On. Thanks again for joining us, and don't forget to carry on, friends.